thank you for joining in on another episode of She-Fi. We're your co-hosts. I'm Amy.
I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to be talking about the new Hunger Games movie, Mockingjay Part 2.
Make no mistake. The game doesn't over.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 76th Hunger Games.
So, one of the main themes in Mockingjay Part 2 was about the cycle of corruption. So there is that very famous quote, "Absolute power corrupts absolutely." So we were wondering about Coin, though. In the beginning, it looked like that she had good intent and that she was a good moral leader. But toward the end, that we saw, she was actually pretty corrupt.
Yeah.
Sarah, do you think she was pretending to be an ethical leader the whole time, or do you think that maybe she began with good intentions, and as she started to gain more and more power, that having that power made her more corrupt toward the end?
I think that she probably started off with good intentions. I think she genuinely wanted to help build a better society. And then the closer she got to actually potentially being the next president, the more she kind of got pulled into some of the more corrupt tactics.
So, Sarah, do you think that is the same with Snow, then?
I think so, probably. When we see Snow, he has more self-awareness, I think, of the kind of person he is than Coin does. There's that scene in the greenhouse with Snow and Katniss, and he's telling her how he thinks that Coin is just like he is. And he shows that he knows that he's this sort of ambitious, sort of corrupt politician. And he apparently doesn't care. Whereas I think Coin may be blinded to that. I don't think that she necessarily sees that things like contemplating having her own Hunger Games and that kind of thing. She doesn't see how it's just repeating the cycle. And I think probably in the beginning, I don't ever see Snow as having been like Coin. I don't think he was probably ever anyone who was, fighting for dramatic social change. But I think he was probably at some point more of just an ordinary politician.
Yeah, that's an interesting point of view.
So the next thing we wanted to talk about is some of the feminist aspects of the movie.
Why did I change my hairstyle? I don't know, I just thought it would look better. Or my kids got gum in it. Are you trying to have it all? That question makes no sense. It's a stupid question. Stop asking it. Don't ask it.
Amy, what were your thoughts?
So I really love Hunger Games because of its strong feminist theme.
Mm-hmm.
I think Katniss makes a really good role model for young women. I love how she's very strong. She's very powerful, courageous.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, she's also very empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
She cares about. And you see this all through all four movies. It begins in movie one. You see her, even though she's in the games, she's very caring. She cares about, for instance, she cared about Rue,
Mm-hmm.
and she really didn't want to be there. She didn't really want to fight other children. I think one of the things that when I first started watching the movies that made me empathize with that character is when her sister was chosen as
Mm-hmm.
tribute in the first Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm.
And she volunteered in order to protect her little sister. I felt like that showed a lot of strength.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
So if you've been following with the books or following along while watching all the movies, you've been probably wondering, who is Katniss going to choose? Is she going to end up with Peeta, or is she going to end up with Gale?
Mm-hmm.
And so we find out at the very end of Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. But before all that goes down, she has a very interesting talk with Gale, and this is after the fact that a lot of children were executed. It was made to look like Snow did it. It was a propaganda tactic done by Coin in order to make Snow look bad. So it looks like Gale was a part of this in some aspect, but it looks like he wasn't in the know about the fact that they were going to kill a bunch of children in order to pull this off. However, Primrose ends up dying in that attack. And Katniss ends up blaming Gale for it. I feel like there's a lot of controversy on this, whether Gale was really to blame for it, or whether Gale was just kind of an innocent pawn in Coin's evil plot, and he was, he didn't really know what was going on. So, whether or not you feel like he was to blame or not, Katniss says goodbye, Gale. Get out of my life after that. So, Sarah, what was your thoughts on this turn of events that she chose Peeta over Gale? Were you happy? Did you want her to choose Gale? Did you want her to choose Peeta?
I did want her to choose Peeta. I feel like, she and Gale are so similar in a lot of ways that they do kind of get each other in a certain way, but I think also, maybe like they're too similar. I think that Peeta brings some elements into her life that she wouldn't have with Gale. So I was glad that she ended up with Peeta. I did feel a little bit like the whole thing with Gale, and we don't know for sure how much he knew about what was going to go down with the attack on the children, but one of his strategies was a part of it. And I do feel like that a little bit was kind of a cop-out there, because then it gave Katniss an excuse not to choose him over Peeta. But I think it would have been more interesting and more powerful if she had really been forced to choose.
Yeah, I agree that it seemed like it was an excuse, that, the writer created an excuse to make her choose Peeta rather than her organically just choosing Peeta on her own because that was who she wanted to be with.
Another thing that I thought was interesting was her relationship with Peeta and how they kind of swap the stereotypical gender roles. Katniss is the one who's kind of tough and kicks ass, and Peeta is a baker and an artist, and I think it was really, I think that is a very feminist theme too, that relationships between men and women don't have to look a certain way, and the woman can be just as strong, and I always really liked that about their relationship.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of She-Fi. If you liked what you saw here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and tune in next week. Bye.
Bye.